To start tumbling, the first thing you have to do, of course, is to obtain a tumbler. It is better to likely spend a bit more money and get a good quality tumbler than to buy the cheapest one on the marketplace. We use lower tone tumblers, and we've had a great deal of success with them, and we feel that they are of a quality that is good for the job. This is a small 3-pound tumbler here that we have that is likely the most economical and the most popular one that we do sell. So to tumble the stones, we have to start, of course, with being able to obtain the stones that we need in order to polish them. The rock has to be of similar hardnesses so that we can put them in the tumbler and one rock is not going to wear away the other rock. The other consideration is that we have to have them broken down so that they're 1 inch or under. And a lot of them would have to be under that 1 inch so that again we get maximum results from the tumbling. The tumbling process is a minimum of 4 weeks, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So once it's on, you leave it. But we do have different stages that the tumbling goes through, and we'll explain those as we get on. First off, we have to learn how to open the tumbler barrel. This is what we start with in terms of taking the lid off. It's handy to use the washer to just help pry the lid up, and sometimes it can be rather stubborn. And once we do that, we break the seal and take the lid off. There we go. This is a solid rubber barrel, so it'll last virtually forever. In the meantime, I've taken and broken down rock to go into the tumbler. So if we start with a large piece of rock like this, we're going to take it using my trusty rock hammer. I can set it down into a box and the sides on it and break it down so that I can have it of the size that I want. And having sides on the box stops the pieces from flying all over the countryside so that you can have them in there and ready to go. So now once I'm satisfied with breaking the rock down, I then take it and fill it into the tumbler. Now the tumbler, to get best results, must be 2/3 full. So now I've filled my tumbler to about the 2/3 level inside the barrel. At this point, I'm going to pour water in it till it just comes to the top of the stones. There we go. It just barely covers the stones. And at that point then, this is a 3-pound tumbler. So we're going to put in the appropriate amount of grit. And that would be 3 tablespoons. The manual may show a little more, but I found that 3 will work quite successfully. So at this point, we have our coarse grit that we start with, which is silicon carbide. And if I put my 3 tablespoons of coarse grit in there, now my tumbler is ready to go. So now I want to put the lid back onto it. And putting the lid on, I push it down firmly, pull this open just to make sure there's no air trapped inside, or at least get out as much as I can. I put the lid on, squeeze it down, So it's down nice and firmly on all sides. Then taking the washer and the nut, I'm going to screw that on till it's firmly in place. Not up really tight, just nice and firm. Then I take my tumbler I have here, I put it in, and plug it in, turn it on. I suggest that you record when you started it so that you don't have to try and remember the date. This should run for about 7 days in the coarse grit. And then we have a medium grit, fine grit, and polish. And each of them do take 7 days for a total of 28 days, I guess. So at this point, after the 7 days, we're going to take it and open it up again. Again, break the seal here. Let's open it up. And at this point, we'll find that our barrel is only about half full, which isn't quite what we want, because we would like it that 2/3 full, because that is the point in which it most efficiently works towards grinding down the stone. So at this point, when I take the stones out and wash them off, they are now much more rounded than when I started. So when I take and dump these out, the best thing to do is put them into a sieve if you have, or a colander. Take them, wash them very carefully so there's absolutely no grit on them. And if any grit gets caught inside little cracks and crevices, take a toothbrush, scrub it out. Wash them, then wash the inside of the barrel very carefully to make sure it is totally clean. And then we can put our stones back in. And again, we want to fill it up to the 2/3 level. But if I take it, it may only be half full. So now I have a little bit of a problem. Most of the grinding away and the loss of material occurs in the coarse grind. Because what I'm doing when I'm coarse grinding it is producing a lot of mud as it wears away. So that mud you must treat as mud, meaning do not put it down the drain. So you must just take it outside and put it in the garden. Do whatever you want, but just remember, treat it like you would mud. Now the stones, again, were only coming up to half full. So what I might do in this situation to solve the problem is run another load in the coarse grit. So now the next week, at the end of the next week, I would have 2 loads that have gone through the coarse grit. Now this time when I fill it up, I should have more than enough material to fill it to that 2/3 level. And one of the things, of course, that this I should have mentioned earlier is that the stone that you use must all be of similar hardnesses. If you don't, you're going to have problems. The soft stones will never polish. The hard ones will just keep wearing the soft ones away, and then you don't get the results that you want. Hence, you must be sure that they're of similar hardnesses. And if it's really soft material like sandstone or shale or limestone, don't even bother tumbling, because it won't give you satisfactory results. Now once I have filled that tumbler 2/3 full, I'm ready for the medium grit, which again is the same type of thing. I'll take my trusty tablespoon and put another 3 tablespoons of grit in here, along with the water, which just covers the stones. And now I'm ready for my medium grit to do its work. So now I close up the tumbler again, just like we did before. We put the barrel onto the machine, and we're going to let it run for another week. When the week is done, we take it off, open it up again, take out our stones, wash them very carefully in a colander again, or whatever you have, so that you can make sure that the stones come out totally clean and shiny. Do also that to the barrel, clean it out, clean everything spotless, because if any grit gets carried over from one stage to the next, it's going to cause problems, especially when we go to the polishing stage. We do not want any grit in there, or it will never polish. So, now that we've finished the medium grit, we do exactly the same thing. We fill it up 2/3 full again. We add the water to cover to that level. We put in our fine grit, 3 tablespoons of fine grit again. Put the lid on it, and we're ready to let it roll again, and that will take another week for the fine grit to be finished. Now, after the fine grit, we have to be a little more careful, that we really do make sure that it is completely clean, both the barrels and all the stones, before we go into the polish stage. Now, for polishing, it's the same procedure over again. We are going to fill the tumbler with the stones to 2/3 again. We're going to put the water in, and of course our polish. Now the polish, instead of 3 tablespoons, we're going to put in 4 tablespoons this time. A little more grit, a little more polish, and put the lid on it. Let it run for that week. We're going to take the stones out, or at least take the lid off, look at the stones, and decide at that point if they're polished enough. If you find that they're not polished to your liking, then put the lid back on and put it back onto the machine, and let's let it run for another several days, because it's certainly not going to hurt it. And then you can check again to see where your polish is. When that stage is over and you look at your stones and you're happy, then again you're going to take them out, scrub them up. You can even put a little bit of dish soap with them, and that will help clean them up so that when you're finished you have your bright shiny stones. And that basically is what's involved in order to get you started in tumbling. One of the last things I do want to mention, though, is in the polishing stage, when you are finished, you can keep the polish, pour it into a jar, and save it till the next time. You cannot do that with the grits and the grits. The coarse, medium, and fine grit are a one-time usage, so when you're finished, they are garbage. They're mud, and treat them as mud. The polish, keep it and use it over again, as long as it has not been contaminated with any grit. And that basically is what is required.